It's a tough call. Pay for everybody who needs a transplant, even when the state is hurting for money, or for only those who have the best chance of surviving after the surgery. That right there is a chance of survival that has been key to the debate. Miriam Garcia takes a look at that tonight.
Well, I love Arizona, but it feels like Arizona is turning my back on me.
He sits in a hospital room feeling abandoned by the state he was born in, a state Eric Yazzie will die in if he doesn't get a transplant.
How the state will fund other things except for saving people's lives, the way I look at it.
In October, the state cut funding for some liver, bone marrow, heart, lung, and pancreas transplants. Eric needs an unrelated bone marrow transplant. It's one of the transplants that's been cut.
My doctor said it was a 90% chance, which I was, of course, anybody's willing to take for their kids, their family, in order to live longer.
Eric is 26 and battling an aggressive form of leukemia. Chemo isn't working. His biggest fear is leaving 8-month-old Mia, 8-year-old Kelmon, and his fiancée Katrina.
I look at my kids every day and seeing what I'm fighting for.
As soon as they told us, it's hard knowing that you have kids.
Katrina remembers the day doctors told her the state wouldn't pay for Eric's $200,000 transplant.
Oh, my heart sinks. I know his did also. We sat up crying, not knowing what to do.
State lawmakers have also had sleepless nights. Faced with an $800 million budget deficit, cuts have to be made. And people hurt.
We just simply cannot afford it, and those are tough decisions that policymakers are put into the position to make.
The decision to cut funding from some transplants comes from this study. Outside doctors brought in to analyze the cost-effectiveness of state-funded transplants. These reports found some transplants to be ineffective at saving lives. For example, 13 out of 14 who got an unrelated bone marrow transplant died in 2 years. Most of them died within 6 months. The 14th patient could also be dead, but the state says he or she dropped out of state health insurance during those 2 years, so they can't be tracked.
And it is difficult because that one person, might make it. That one person might make it. But the bottom line is that the high-risk ratio just is not worth the cost, and a cost that we simply cannot afford. And so we had to make that decision, and we will stand by it.
But Eric's doctor says the state is making a big mistake.
It's tough to face the patient in the exam room and telling him that I won't be able to help him anymore.
Dr. Peter Mathern says lawmakers shouldn't ask how many people died when deciding whether to fund a transplant.
I think the question is what is his chances of survival in case he is not going to get transplant. And those chances are minimal. We
tried talking to the families of those patients who died after getting transplants. We wanted to see how they feel about the cuts. After weeks of searching, talking to local transplant groups, we couldn't find one family to talk to us. One group told us they spoke to a family who was angry about their loved one's death, even after a transplant. The reason why, we may never know. But Eric's family says they couldn't live with themselves if they didn't try to do everything they can to save his life.
It's somebody's life, someone's life should be precious to everybody. Life is precious. I don't know what else to say.
Look at my family. I want to spend time with them like anybody else would want to. And I'm glad they don't have to. Nobody should be going through this, what I'm going through right now. But unfortunately, we have to. It's part of life, I guess.
We're going to find a way to get it for him. If I have to go from car to car asking for donations, well, I will do it. I will try my best. If we have to fund it ourselves, we will.
In Phoenix, I'm Miriam Garcia, Fox 10 News.
Get myfoxphoenix.com on your iPhone free at the App Store and stay connected.